Hi everyone, as you can see I'm in a very different car today. I am test driving the Porsche Taycan. This is actually thanks to one of my friends, the owner of Brunch in Rio here in Ferragudo, and this is actually the first time I'm driving an EV from Porsche. So I'm going to take it for a drive and let's take a look to see what the differences are. I am a Tesla owner, so I'm going to be comparing generally the quality of the Porsche Taycan. Obviously it is a much more expensive car than the Model 3. You'd probably be looking at the Model S versus the Taycan. This is the Taycan 4S. Initial drive, this car feels quite different to the Tesla. It actually feels like a regular Porsche. I'm going to drive back to the start and then we'll take a look around the car, show you what this car looks like. It has traditional stalks, so I'm actually not that used to that, to be honest. I've gotten so used to the buttons on the steering wheel. If you got into here and you didn't see the outside or you didn't know what a Taycan was, I wouldn't actually know that this is a electric car because it looks exactly like a regular Porsche, which is pretty cool. So the exterior styling of the Taycan is very nice. It's quite a big car, as you can see. It's definitely comparable to the Tesla Model S. The Model 3 is a bit smaller, and the thing about the styling, it's always up to personal preference. I think it looks like a really cool design. I do prefer the Audi e-tron GT, although I do think that this still looks very futuristic. This design has been out for a few years now, but it definitely doesn't look aged at all. Typical Porsche design, but obviously with the headlights being these special lights that are not round. Very beautiful car. I do think that, you know, with these Porsches as well as BMW, it's more regular car design first that has been electrified. So as you can see, it's very beautiful. I really like this detail where there's like a 3D Porsche inside this panel. So you can see it's actually three-dimensional inside there. And what's cool is that they have a charge port, and it's also powered just like the Tesla one, but instead of flipping open, you actually swipe it over here and basically it slides up like that. To close it again, you can just swipe like that. It has a traditional key fob, so regular Porsche key fob that you're probably familiar with. To lock the car, you press the lock button and these door handles go in and everything goes in. And to open, just press the key fob as per usual and the door handles lift up. These door handles are much easier to use. Obviously you don't have to push it out and pull like the Tesla. Looking inside the car, this is very plush interiors. The leather is very nice, very spacious, especially the back. I'll take you guys to the back just now. The rear window is also quite small in terms of visibility, and there's also one piece of glass just like the Model Y, and these seats are very comfortable. And there's this wood paneling. Let me close the door. So the one thing you'll notice is that it has an instrument cluster behind the steering wheel, as long as these two screens, and the climate control is also controlled here via the screen. There is a touch panel here, so you can operate the screen without touching the screen. I'm going to change this to English quickly, and you can see that you can see all the information up here. I'm not sure if there's heads-up display option for the Porsche, but as with all other Porsches, there's a analog clock there as well, a stopwatch as well as your time. Very different to the Tesla. Let's take a look at the glove compartment. The glove compartment has a manual latch. Sizing wise, looks not much bigger than, I don't actually think it's bigger than the Model 3. Door bins, I actually think these door bins are slightly smaller. There's a lot of paneling, so you can see it's very layered. This definitely has a better speaker system than the standard Model 3 obviously, but maybe for the long range it's comparable. But this has the Bose setup, and there's a lot of traditional car details. As you can see, you know, the cup holders have these mechanical holders, and to open the armrest there's a button on the side here to lift it open, just like that. It's not a very big glove compartment. So that's one thing that I feel like is nicer in the Tesla. There's a lot of storage space, especially in the center console area. This climate control system, I'm not a super fan of. Oh, there's actually haptic feedback, so it actually feels like you're touching something. Can you hear that? It clicks. And then obviously there's the different drive modes as well. I can change from normal, sport plus, individual, or range. I have 313 kilometers. It's funny how it's actually like a gas pump, but with a charge symbol. So that's quite funny. So yeah, we're gonna go take a test drive as well. Let me just show you the back. Here's the rear. Very spacious back here. Very comfortable. And as you can see, the seats are perforated as well. Here's the armrest. The 2 cup holders. Actually, this is open. I don't like this too much because obviously when you put your arms here, it's actually, touching the open holes. But yeah, this is quite a small armrest. There's also a screen back here to access the climate. Obviously, there's no entertainment like there is in the new Model 3. So to adjust the direction of the climate, it's very similar to the Tesla. You also move it about like this, and then it points the airflow to you. This finishing is so nice. This Alcantara roof lining is so beautiful. Feels very nice. Although this part is plastic, just like the Tesla, and it does look like there's some build quality issues here. I'm not sure if this is prevalent in most Porsches, but for a car at this price point, I would expect it to be perfect. Going around to the trunk, I can use the key fob to open. I don't know if I miss having a key fob or not, because obviously with the Model 3, I just use walk away and then I just press the button on the car if I want to open. But yeah, there's definitely enough space for 2 luggages. I don't think it's that much bigger, to be honest. It's a much longer car, so it might be slightly bigger than the Model 3. Let's see if there's any space underneath here. Now this space is very small. You definitely cannot fit a carry-on luggage down here like you can in the Model 3. So in terms of practicality, I think the Model 3 might actually be slightly bigger. So to close, you can just press the button over here. And around the front, let's take a look at what's under the hood or the Frunk. Okay, so it's also not powered. Actually, this is an actual hood, so there's a clip. Okay, so there is a Frunk, and it is quite deep, but quite narrow. It's not as wide as the Model 3, but as you can see, they have the washer fluid down here in the correct position. I don't know what that is for. Okay, so let's go through some of the options and how you drive this car. The seat adjustment is the same as a Tesla and same in most other cars these days. So you just move the seat by moving the levers on the side, and with the steering wheel, you adjust the steering wheel with this. There's a notch back here that allows you to push the steering wheel in and down and up, whichever direction you want. You obviously have to be mindful of the placement of the steering wheel, especially the open cavity on top, because you want to see through and see the instrument cluster. So I usually like having the steering wheel quite low down, so I have good visibility out the top, as well as the fact that I can have my arms in a resting position like this. But otherwise, very standard. It's actually much easier to get acquainted to a car like this coming from a fuel-based car, because it's got all the traditional controls. The buttons are all similar. I can change the drive mode, or I can change a lot of stuff using these scroll wheels. Also have traditional stalks, so I can indicate like that and use this for the lights. This is obviously for cruise control down here, and this one is to control the wipers. And they have 3 jets. Interesting. Cool. You can also lock the car by pressing this button by the door panel over here. If you were in this car and you've been in a Porsche before, you actually would be none the wiser that this is an EV. It feels like a normal car. When I was driving it earlier, it also doesn't have regen braking. It's probably a setting, so it feels like a regular car. One of the things about Tesla is that it's got really good integration and trip planning, especially if you need to charge. I wonder what this looks like in the Taycan. So let's say I want to navigate up to Porto here from the Algarve and see if it actually plans charging locations for you. So Let's say we're going up to Porto.
The route is being calculated.
Okay, so I will arrive with negative 100%, but it's not actually by default showing me where the charging stops are. However, it actually does show where the charging stops are because there's so many chargers along the way in Portugal, but it doesn't actually tell you to stop. So I think you just have to figure it out as you go. As you can see, in Portugal there are tons of chargers everywhere, so that's not really a problem, especially if you're taking a long route. And the third-party chargers, some of them can go up to 350 kilowatts, so you can definitely fast charge. You can have your navigation showing up over here as well, so you know where to go. You don't have to look to the side. That's one of the biggest gripes I have with the Tesla. Obviously with the Model S and the Model X, you have that screen as well, so it shows you where to go. It would be unfair to compare this car to the Model Y and the Model 3. It's completely different league. So I think a better comparison would be from this and a Model S and a Model X if you were looking to buy. In terms of technology, I think if you were focused on just having a nice car, that's not a big problem, because this car has everything that you need from a traditional car perspective and has enough technology for you to get what you need done. It feels more like a car that has been electrified rather than a gadget like the Tesla that is a car. So I think that's the main difference. Getting back in here, it reminds me of being back in a BMW. Slightly different styling, but you know, the finishing's similar. I actually think finishing on some BMWs is actually better than this, but this feels really nice in any case. To start the car, you know, the shifters in the Tesla is now on the screen. With this, there's actually a physical shifter over here. So right now it's in park, and you can do PRND like, you know, all other cars. So if I want to reverse up to R, the reverse camera, there's a 360 camera on the side, and you can choose which cameras you want to view based on, you know, what you want to see. So there is a virtual camera that you can go around in. You can look in front as well, and you can also wash the washer. So there's an option to wash the cameras, so that's pretty useful. Yeah, this 360 camera, like, you know, I've complained before, but the Tesla Vision's gotten much better since I got it, so there's been updates over time, and I think it calibrates and gets better over time as well. Okay, let's go for a drive. I'm going to start driving in normal mode, so not Sport Plus or Sport. As you can see, the car starts rolling when you don't have your foot on the brake, but visibility is good around this car. It's obviously a sports car. Actually, it's interesting, it actually sounds more visceral than my car. I'm driving quite slowly, and you can actually hear the whine of the motor. I don't know if that's sound pumped into the speakers, but it sounds quite nice. It's definitely quite punchy, much more punchier than my car. Let's go down the straight. Whoa, that is very fast, and this is just on normal mode. Wow. And it carries on. So there's no brake regen, so you actually have to brake. When you step on the brake, I don't know if it actually applies the brakes or if it actually just initiates some regen, because I'm looking at the screen now. The car doesn't slow down dramatically like as if the brakes are being applied. So I'm guessing that when you step on the brake, it applies a little bit of brake regen before it starts braking, depending on how far you push down on the brake pedal. It's a very smooth drive. Well, this road is quite bumpy, so I actually think the Model 3, for a car of that price point, the suspension is very good. Actually very comfortable. This is probably stiffer than the Model 3, given that it's a sports car basically. A sports sedan. You can definitely hear a lot more of the motor. I'm not sure if it is the motor sound or if it's like the BMW, you know, of the sounds in through the speaker, but it definitely feels a little bit more visceral. Besides the fact that the acceleration is really good. Obviously the Tesla acceleration is really good, so that's not necessarily better in this car, but the whole feeling, you know, with the sound and stuff, you know, with the Teslas, even with the performance models, you can accelerate and it's silent, and like you just feel with one sense, like, you know, of momentum. But with this, you can actually hear the sounds coming in, and it actually makes me feel like I'm actually driving a sports car, or a car again, I guess. So that's quite interesting. Driving with this is very different to the Tesla, because in a case like this where I'm going very slowly, I'll just turn autopilot on so that it basically cruises by itself. But right now I'm not stepping on the accelerator pedal at all, and the car is just rolling. At this point, if I had to get this close to the horse cart, the Tesla would have applied emergency brakes. There's a setting in the Tesla to change the sensitivity. But yeah, so this feels like I'm back driving a BMW, for example. So driving a car like this, you know, I think when I initially got the Model 3, I got a lot of looks and stares because it's a brand new model. Some people know that it's the new Tesla. But driving a car like this, everyone looks. I mean, it's a Porsche. It's very, you know, luxurious and high-end. So if you want to keep a low profile, this is definitely not the car for you. This emblem is very nice. It's actually, you know, there's actually texture on it. You can feel the Porsche logo. This middle part's quite smooth. So I can cycle through these 3 dials by pressing this button, and then I can change what the dial shows. So I can change this to the map, so I can see where I need to go, straight in the middle. I literally was looking for the buttons for the indicators on the steering wheel, which obviously don't exist. So weird, it literally feels like I'm driving a petrol car. There's a camera here, so I need to just slow down. Okay, we're going to go into the highway now. I'm going to change the drive mode to Sport Plus.
Please follow the N125 for 6 kilometers.
Well, I feel like it actually increased, the suspension definitely stiffened. It increased that sound that I could hear. So there's no blind spot indicator screen that comes up like the Tesla. So you just gotta make sure you look at the rear view mirror. So it definitely feels like it's got much more response, like how you would drive in a lower gear. So let's... Wow, that is absolutely nuts. Oh, there was a gear change. There was like a break. I don't know if you can hear it, but there was like a break in the sound from the motor. So it went like bzzz, and then there was like a break, and then bzzz again. So I think that's when we changed over. This allows the car to be more efficient, the motor to be more efficient, so at higher speeds it can have lower RPMs, therefore making it more efficient and potentially pushing you up to higher overall top speed without having the motor running at those speeds. Okay, so when the car's in Sport Plus mode, it definitely feels a lot more, you know, it feels like you're driving in a lower gear, and it feels like it's ready to go all the time, just like how you would have a sport mode in a fuel-based car where the transmission is set to more aggressive. So I feel like they've emulated that by applying, you know, either regen braking or some sort of something to the motor to get that effect. But it feels really cool. Like, it feels like I'm in a petrol car without any emissions. So they've done a great job, and it's pretty interesting. It's a different direction to Tesla. They've tried to make this car as palatable, I guess, as possible for someone that is coming from internal combustion engine. This car is very responsive. So it's a 4-wheel drive car.
Please leave the roundabout at the second exit.
A 4-wheel drive car, definitely feel very much in control. Like, the steering is very sharp, braking is very sharp. This would be a very fun car to take to the track.
100 meters, leave the roundabout at the first exit.
Takes these corners very well. Wow, it's got a lot of hold. The brakes are very sharp as well. I think, you know, given that this is a Porsche, this is definitely a sport car first and then a electric car second. So you definitely feel very sporty driving this car. It's obviously a, you know, a comfortable executive saloon sports car, so it feels like if you drive an M5 or a 5 Series. I really enjoyed driving this car. If you like this video, remember to click the like button and subscribe. And please let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see more videos like this. Have a great day and see you next time.